So this past summer in June 2013, the city of Calgary and most of southern Alberta experienced one of the largest and costliest natural disasters in Canadian history. And that really put us as a municipality and us as communicators to the test. After the flood, and retrospectively, I kind of had this aha moment where I said, you know what, this crisis communication plan that I've been working on so hard and researching and trying to apply best practices, I think I'm actually overthinking it too much. I think I'm trying to incorporate so much into this plan that it'll never fit anything. What I really realized in that moment when I was reflecting was we have an incredible and dynamic group of professional communicators. And what this corporate communication plan needs to do is to give all of those people a structure and a framework and some basic philosophy and guiding principles to help them get through an event like what we experienced in June. And this expression came up. It doesn't matter what tune you've practiced, a crisis will always make you sing a different song. We're very fortunate in the city of Calgary to have a very dynamic mayor, Naheed Nenshi. The man was brilliant, and during the crisis he had one philosophy that guided our response. And that philosophy was, if we know it, Calgary needs to know it. And that's right in line with open, honest, and transparent government. And we really followed that model. If we had information, we shared that with Calgarians right away. And we did that through a couple different methods. One was establishing the difference between information and communication. Typically in years past, when we're looking at crisis events, traditionally we would have a crisis, communicators would go gather up as much information as they could, put it in one package, a media briefing, run it through the chain of approval process to make sure that everything is accurate and agreed upon, and then we'd push that out to the media. Well, that would take 3, 4, 5 hours. And by the time we're pushing that information out or that communication out, it's irrelevant. And in today's day and today's environment, you can't wait 3 hours. You can't wait 2 hours. You can't wait 1 hour. Community expects and looks to your organization as the source of accurate, timely, credible information. So we split that down. We broke that down. We said, okay, there's a distinct difference here between information and communication. Information is McLeod Trail at 25th Avenue is closed. There's no strategy behind that. It's just the fact. It's closed. Communication, on the other hand, communication has the strategy built into it. How do we allow Calgarians to re-enter their home when it hasn't been inspected? Here's the process that Calgarians need to follow. It needs to be clear. It needs to be concise. The agencies that are involved, the gas company, the power company, the building inspectors, they all need to be in agreement. There needs to be a strategy behind how we allow people to get back into their homes. What we experienced in Calgary, and this is my personal opinion, was social media played a critical role during the first day or two during the evacuations. Social media creates and stimulates conversation. It's a tool and a channel that spreads your information. Even if somebody's not following the city of Calgary or following me, maybe your neighbor is. Maybe a parent that's at the school dropping their children off at the same time you are just saw a piece of information on our Facebook page, and it creates and stimulates conversation. So that provides another channel to express and share communication. We saw that very effectively during the first day or two of the floods. Where we saw another pickup or another advantage to social media was day 3, 4, 5, where social media, I believe, gave our community a place to go. Calgary is very rich with spirit of giving and volunteerism, and people were crying out for what can we do to help. And certainly there was so much activity, and public safety was always the key factor. We couldn't commit to volunteer efforts. So Calgarians and other communities were able to turn to social media as a platform to come together to create their own response. So YYC Help evolved. Very dynamic and powerful now volunteer social media based platform. It was on day 5 in the Emergency Operations Center, and our manager of 311, our call center, came into the communications room, and he ripped off a big sticky note wall sheet and stuck it on the wall and wrote on it with a Sharpie. And he wrote, "Think like a flood victim." And we all kind of looked at that and said, what are you talking about, think like a flood victim, as we're kind of patting ourselves on the back. Look at our social media stats. We've got 50% new followers and we're pushing all this information out. But what he meant was, think like a flood victim. The people that are returning to their homes, that have lost everything, that have been washed away, that are now digging out the muck and the sewer back up from their homes, that are throwing out their couches and sorting through trying to save photos. The power's all turned off. They're not sitting in front of their televisions. They're not sitting in front of their computers. They don't have chargers to charge their smartphones. They're up to their elbows in mud. They're not getting our message. And they're who matter most in this time of crisis. So it really allowed me to rethink and drill down on clearly identifying who our audiences are and what their needs, what specific communication tools or channels they require to receive a message. So that was very profound for me. And think like a flood victim. Or you could say think like a _ victim. Think like a hurricane victim. Think like a typhoon victim. Think like a earthquake victim. It really is, social media, I think, is playing a critical role in helping spread the message, but we can't rely on that as our sole communication channel. We in the city, we printed off brochures, an 11-page document that was produced, hard copies that were delivered down to the communities. We had 1-page documents that were translated into 18 different languages so that each different community could have the same information. We printed off door hangers and hung it on doors so that people would receive hard copy information when they returned home. So we really, back to the basics. So during our communication response in the city of Calgary, we adopted a talk to the head and the heart approach in engaging with our citizens. And what I mean by that is through our media briefings primarily, Director Burrell, director of the Calgary Emergency Management Agency, an incredible man, very, very smart. I could call him today and say, "Hey Bruce, on June 25th, what was the flow of the Bow River below the confluence at 4 p.m.?" And he would be able to tell you, like that. Very, very smart man. So he would come out and address the media, address the press, and deliver critical information to Calgarians in a very command and structure way, very technical. Here's what's happening, here's what we're doing about it, here's our response, this is what you need to know. So provided very detailed information. The next briefing would typically be from our mayor, who wasn't as technical, but spoke more to the heart of people, connected on an emotional level, expressed sympathy, connected with them on an individual basis. So we kept that communication turning, where we flipped from speaking to your heart and speaking to your head. We needed to make sure that Calgarians had the right information, but also felt heard and felt valued. Honestly, I don't know that we would have done anything differently. This was a great opportunity to learn. Chinese, when you write crisis in the Chinese language, it's 2 characters. One is danger, one is opportunity. And so when you look at crisis, there's danger or threat, and there's opportunity in that. And I think doing things exactly the way we did it has really presented the city of Calgary and the world around us opportunity to learn. And if we had done things differently, I don't know that we would have learned the same lessons. So yes, lots of room to improve, lessons learned that we can walk away with. But all in all, Ipso Re just conducted a City of Calgary citizen satisfaction survey, and 99% of Calgarians say that they are satisfied or very satisfied with the way Calgary responded to the flood. So I think, all in all, we've done a pretty good job. The question now is, how do we apply what we've learned and put it into the plan to help us with next time.